Welcome back in. The University of Toledo has a variety of programs, including astrology, and UToledo even has a student and professor leading some research involving the James Webb Space Telescope. Dr. Rupali Chadar and Grant Donnelly are with us to talk more about your research. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. This is so exciting. You all have this opportunity. We're going to start with you first, Grant. As a student, you have this great opportunity to use this telescope. Tell me a little bit about the process you went through to win this opportunity.
Sure. So what the process looks like is submitting a proposal. This happens once a year for this particular telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope. And what that looks like is writing up a document that puts forward your science case, trying to convince other scientists that this is a good use of the resources and time for James Webb, and then also putting together a very detailed list of exactly how you want to use it, all the observational specifications and parameters and things like that. So it's an involved process, but of course you learn a lot. And then that goes off to a committee where it's anonymously reviewed for its scientific merit, and then mine happened to get selected.
And so that's a big deal because we were talking earlier, you said there's like a 10% success rate.
Yeah, this past year with James Webb there were more proposals submitted than any cycle ever for any basically telescope facility ever. And I will say, shout out to Grant. You are competing, right, as a graduate student against postdocs, against faculty, against senior faculty who've been doing this for decades. And to actually win time as a grad student means you had a great idea and you put in probably months of work to get it through.
And you won some time too, yeah?
Yeah, I did.
So both of you, that's fantastic being in the same program from the same university. That's wonderful. So let's talk about what you're going to use the telescope for.
Sure.
What are you going to be studying?
So I'm interested in space dust, specifically in other galaxies. So the space between the stars may look like there's nothing in there, but spread very thinly through that space is this dust. If you go out on a very dark night and you see our own galaxy, you can see it as the dark patches in between the bright spots. But dust can tell us all kinds of things about what physics are going on inside of other galaxies. And dust emits its own light as infrared light that it has absorbed from nearby stars. It gets warm, and then it emits it as heat, like infrared light. You can't see it, but you do feel it on your skin. And by looking at that infrared light, which is what the James Webb Space Telescope does, we can learn all kinds of things about the physics going on inside of these other galaxies.
Yeah, so this is, and this is what you had to pitch, essentially. This is why it's so important that I get this time, because there's a huge benefit for us to learn more about this. You're studying something similar, is that right?
I'm studying galaxies as well. And I'm interested in sort of this great galactic conspiracy, which happens right here in our own Milky Way spiral galaxy as well. And I'm looking at that through this massive hole in the gas and dust, the interstellar medium of a galaxy called the Phantom Galaxy. So it's the phantom void. Imagine 1,000 supernova explosions going off and pushing this material out. And it's created a hole that's about 3,000 light years across. And on the rim of that, right, like imagine a tire, right, that's 3,000 light years across. On the rim of that, there's all this really interesting, it's this cool ecosystem where there's star formation happening in some places, but it's suppressed in others. And it's basically exquisitely fine-tuned, we don't know exactly how, to keep the rate of star formation or the efficiency at just 0.5 or 1%. So it's really low, and it's really important that we understand why.
Wow, you're finding the why. Yeah, that's wonderful. So when do you all get to start working on this? Do you know yet?
Well, the scheduling process is complicated because there's all sorts of things that will constrain when and where the telescope can be pointed. A lot of the design goes into making sure that it's never pointed at Earth or the sun. As I mentioned, it's basically a very fancy heat camera and telescope, and those are hot objects. And then there is a place in the solar system that we want to not point into because there's a bunch of debris that it could run into.
Yeah, so it's tricky, huh?
They're on the other end figuring out when it's going to be scheduled, but it should be sometime next year. We'll get the date.
Wow, so great, wonderful opportunity. And what does it feel like to maybe see students be able to succeed in this way?
I mean, huge. That is probably one of the best things about my job. I think getting to see students like Grant come up with a great idea, write up an amazing proposal, and then see him be successful has been really fantastic for our program and for Grant and his future. I think that there are other students who then get to, it trickles down. So we have undergrads working on James Webb data. We have now local high school students who get to work on James Webb data. So if you want to work on data from this telescope, Toledo is a great place to be.
The sky's the limit, huh? Yeah. So if you've got kids who are like, I don't know what I want to get into, maybe you've always been interested in, you know, the stars or what's physics, really, the galaxies, all of these things. A program that is worth looking into. Very good. Well, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the project and enjoy the research.
Thank you so much.
We'll wait to see what you come up with. Thanks for being here.